to think that they've come back to mid Wales, not far from my home, I tell you, it's like welcoming back an old friend, really. And I dream of the day when I can walk along here and actually see a pine marten. So I am so happy about this.
Na ni. O fi'n cofio chi'n gweud y beth i'r trapwr oedd wedi dal bele ma.
Ie, rwla ar hobell, greigiau'r holl hobell oedd ei dal.
A beth, pwy flwyddyn oedd ni de?
O, 53.
Ti
A dechreuais I gwaith yn y cod yn y 70au, ac o'r adeg y 70au tan y 90au, oedd pobl yn gweld belawod, dim yn aml, ond oedd nhw'n gweld nhw weddol reoledd dros y cyfnod ni. So maen nhw dal yma, yn y 15 blynedd dwytha, mae llai o belawod wedi cael ei weld yn yr ardal yma.
Na'n coedw gwrachfad e.
Ie, ac yn bwys Clan Gwili fanna.
Ie.
A o'n i'n ôl na ffwlbart o dda.
Ie.
Ond nath o syth lan y goeden.
Ie, ti do.
A wedyn o'n i weld i gynffon o weld o ddim ffwlbart o dda wedyn.
A bele, ie, wrth gwrs.
Rwy'n sefyll yma heddiw yn ymyl Caderydrys, dyma'r mynydd tu ôl I fi fan hyn. Ac fel rhan o'n ngwaith pob dydd fel warden i'r Parc Cenedlaethol, da ni wedi bod yn cofnodi enwau ar y gader, hen enwau creigiau a rhyw dapiau gwahanol. Ac ymhlith yr enwau yna, da ni wedi dod ar draws enw diddorol iawn, Tap y Bele. Felly mae hwnnw'n yn arwydd bod yna felawod wedi bod yn yr ardal yma ers cenedlaethau.
In the 50s, I would read about the native mammals of the United Kingdom, and amongst these would be the pine marten. You'd always see it mentioned, you little pictures of it in the trees. And as I've been travelling around the countryside, I've always been looking for it and thought, is it just me, or do they not actually exist? And this project really has answered all my questions about them.
Having seen how well pine martens are doing in Scotland and how they've become a real conservation success story, to now have the same in Wales and have the pine martens not only surviving but really thriving and having the support of local communities and volunteers is really fantastic.
For me it was the opportunity really, getting the experience of being able to do this sort of work, which is what sort of field I'd like to go into after I finish university. And the opportunity to potentially see a pine marten.
What it means to me to have the pine martens return to this area, if they are not already here, is the return of something that's long been missing, something that quite an essential part of a local environment, something that's also got significant economic benefit, potentially, not just from the tourism point of view, but from, if the evidence so far is correct, the control of the grey squirrel in this area.
Fi wedi gweld nhw yn yr Eidal, wedi gweld nhw yn Iwerddon, wedi gweld nhw yn yr Alban, a maen nhw'n creadu'r, wel, maen nhw'n ddel, dim ond, sy'n byd tebyg i weld bele yn y cod. Mae rwyfaint o dystiolaeth yn Iwerddon enghraifft bod y wywer lwyd yn diflannu yn presenoldeb y bele, so bydden ni'n falch iawn am y ddau reswm ni, just to gael y bele nôl ma.
One of the things that's really impressed me about the Pine Marten Reinforcement Programme in Mid Wales is the Vincent Wildlife Trust's considerable attention to detail. From the very beginning, when they started looking at ecosystems and habitat suitability for the animals' well-being, right through to the public engagement exercise that they conducted in the area last summer.
For me, having pine martens back in Wales here gives me the opportunity to do what I love doing, which is to practice conservation and to be involved in a project which has provided hope for a species which was arguably entirely extinct from Wales, whereas now, through our intervention, we're at a stage where there's potentially a bright future for the pine marten. And to be part of a project like that and to be active on the ground in the application of that work is an enormous privilege.
So today what I've been doing is tracking down the den site of one of our female pine martens, number 7. We think she's one of our youngest pine martens, and she's actually picked one of our more unusual den sites. So she's actually just over here in this old abandoned bothy. You can hear that the signal gets much louder. We actually thought that she would be getting in through all of the holes in the gables and missing roof tiles and things like that. But the way she's actually getting in is through the back door, which is not what we expected at all.
I'd be very pleased to see her hide in the woods. For people to have the chance to see a pine marten is very rare, so I think that would be fantastic. Yeah.
To think that now we have this very enigmatic, very elusive mammal back here now, the pine marten. If I was a local hotelier or caravan park owner, I'd be starting to put peanut butter out on a table or on branches to say, come and see pine martens in my caravan park.
Ecotourism is going to be tremendously boosted by this. It's worked extremely well with the red kite project in the area. There's people coming from far and wide just to see them.
I am a little concerned about the potential impact on swallows and house martins that nest in our barns, but with lots of activity, human activity, and the fact that we've got a dog, hopefully that will balance things out. But no, I think for guests coming to Cumbigga, it should be another very exciting kind of item to look for. We have a wildlife camera in the ground, so I'm hoping that before long we should pick it up on that and be able to play that to the guests and feed it back to the trust as well.
As a farmer, I've got grave concerns naturally about introducing any animal back into the wilderness, because the pine marten has been out from this area now for well over 200 years. You know, we've got the Vincent Trust, and you know, in all fairness to you, the Vincent Trust, you have incorporated us and we've had dialogue with you all the way through. But within 20 years down the line, who will be giving us dialogue? Who will be looking after us when the numbers of these pine martens are higher than they are now?
Now the pine marten to go after the grey squirrels, and the grey squirrel was introduced by man. He's not a native to us. So, too much interference. And the pine marten must be a reason for it to have died out here in the first place.
It would be nice to know that my children will have the chance of seeing those pine martens in the future, and that they are a very important part, in my view, of the sort of whole ecosystem of the woodlands. I think it's a really good project, and of all the species that can be reintroduced or brought back, I really think the pine marten is the most important of all that is talked about, you know, because it is a real part of our woodlands.
And assuming the evidence continues to build up, the return of the pine marten will control one of the major forestry pests, which is the North American grey squirrel. So yes, there would be a very significant direct benefit to my clients and to many landowners and farmers in the whole of the rural area.
I think it's good to release pine martens back into Wales because it can reduce the amount of grey squirrels and it can help the environment a lot. What he said. Yeah.
So the Harvard Trust, who are managing this land under a management agreement with NRW, part of that project is to restore the native broadleaf woodland to Havard and gradually thin out the conifers. So to know that the ecology is strong and diverse here is very good and something that we're proud of.
Mae'n bwysig, dwi'n meddwl, bod creaduriaid o'r math yma sydd wedi bod yn yr ardal a'i henwa nhw wedi cofnodi mewn enwau lleoedd. Mae'n bwysig bod hynna, dwi'n meddwl, yn dod nôl eto. Hyd yn oed os na welydd rhywun y creadur wrth gerdded, mae'n meddwl y galler rhywun weld y creadur yn ei hun yn creu cynnwrf mawr.
I've got nothing but praise for the Vincent Wildlife Trust and the way that they've handled this whole project from the very beginning, really, and for me it's a blueprint for anybody else who's going to look to do something like this. You've consulted with local people, going out and about talking to people, giving talks, explaining what's going to be going on. And I know one or two people have had concerns. And then you've brought the animals down, you've made sure that the welfare of the animals came first. I think it's been a fantastic project. And for someone like me, I am mid-Walian, I'm Welsh through and through. And whenever I go for a walk in mid-Wales, the most exciting mammals I'm going to see are going to be things like grey squirrels or sheep. Not exactly an exciting walk. And now knowing that I can walk through here and there's just that possibility that I might see pine marten, that is incredibly exciting.
Really pleased to see one. I'll be pleased to see one in the garden.